Natural monopoly sounds interesting and easy in theory, but in an AP free response question, it's different. Let's solve one from the actual 2022 AP Microeconomics exam. If you need a full breakdown of the natural monopoly diagram and concepts, make sure to watch my complete lesson first and then come back and practice with this one. Let's begin. This is the question. The graph provided shows demand curve, marginal revenue curve, long-run average total cost curve, and marginal cost curve. This is first part of the question. Over the output range of 0 to 60 units, is this firm experiencing economies of scale, diseconomies of scale, or constant returns to scale? We need to explain that. Now, if you notice in the diagram, from 0 to 60 units of output, we need to check whether this firm is experiencing either of these. Now, whenever you see this question, we need to first look at the LRATC curve. Now, we notice that as output increases from 0 to 60, this LRATC curve is falling. We know that when average total cost decreases, as output increases, the firm experiences economies of scale. So the correct answer would be the firm is experiencing economies of scale because LRATC is downward sloping over the entire output range. Now this is part B of the same question. This asks us to identify the price and quantity at which the monopolist earns zero economic profit. Now first let's remember, zero economic profit does not depend on where MR is equal to MC. Remember that. Zero economic profit happens when price equals LRATC. Now from this graph, at this point where price equals LRATC, the quantity is 50 and price is $15. This means that the firm is charging exactly what it costs to produce each unit. So the revenue earned from each unit just covers its cost, nothing extra. So when total revenue just covers total cost, it means economic profit is zero. So the answer to this question would be that the monopolist earns zero economic profit when quantity is 50 and price is $15. Now we move to part C. This question has 3 subparts. We will discuss each one step by step. Assume that the regulators impose a price ceiling that forces the firms to produce the socially optimal quantity in the short run. So before calculating anything, we must first understand what is the socially optimal output. Let's identify that on the graph. Socially optimal output occurs where price equals marginal cost. On a graph, that means we look for where the demand curve intersects the marginal cost curve. Here, your quantity is 60 and price is $10. This is the efficient level of output because price reflects the true marginal cost of producing one more unit. Now the question says that the regulators have imposed a price ceiling at this social optimal quantity. It means what is the price ceiling? Price ceiling is $10. Now the question here asks us to calculate total revenue at the price ceiling. We already know that total revenue equals price multiplied by quantity. So it means that 10 times 60 equals 600. Therefore, total revenue is $600. Always show your multiplication on the AP exam, as you can see that they have specifically mentioned this also in the question. In part C2, we are asked to explain why the firm requires a subsidy to continue producing the socially optimal quantity in the long run. We know that the firm requires a subsidy whenever they are earning negative economic profit. Let's check in the diagram. At quantity 60, which is our socially optimal quantity, what is LRATC? From the graph, it is $13. But the price ceiling has been kept at $10 by the government. It means that the price is less than LRATC. Average cost is more than the price per unit. which means that the firm is earning negative profit, negative economic profit. In other words, a loss. Now, in the long run, firms cannot continue operating with losses. So, the government must provide a subsidy for the firm to continue producing in the long run. This answers our question as to why the firm requires a subsidy to continue producing in the long run. Now let's move to the last part of our question. Here we are asked to calculate the lump sum subsidy that would be required for the monopolist to produce the socially optimal quantity in the long run. We have already identified LRATC and price per unit in the last part. So let's first calculate the loss per unit this firm will make. Loss per unit equals LRATC minus price, which is 13 minus 10, which equals to $3. Now the required subsidy would be calculated by multiplying this loss per unit with the quantity. So 3 times 60 equals $180. So the required lump sum subsidy this firm would require is $180. This subsidy would cover the firm's economic loss. Show your work. Remember, they have asked specifically to show our work in the question, so you should write all the steps. If you noticed, this one question covered almost the entire natural monopoly chapter. Economies of scale, zero economic profit, social efficiency, regulation, and subsidies. If you can structure your answers clearly, you can earn every point. If you would like structured, exam-focused guidance like this, I offer personalized tutoring for AP and other major boards. DM me on Instagram or visit my website for details. Keep practicing. See you in the next one.